Yes, ma'am.
Okay, cool. So today we are going to be knowing about how to prepare case files, and I'm sure you all know what case files actually are. You're not supposed to submit it to anyone. It's just for your own benefit. It's for you how to have a better or organized research to begin with. Okay, so you're supposed to research on on a resolution which has already been given to you. You are supposed to have basic gaining, like you're trying to have basic working knowledge of what the topic is. So I think when one of you all were asking, I don't understand particular jargon, so you're supposed to also research on that. So it's not just about the argument that you're supposed to make, but also things which are related to the argument you're supposed to know it. Why? Because in crossfire you don't necessarily know what can be the question that can be asked to you, and therefore try to have potential number of arguments in your case file. Okay, and then you can go ahead and prioritize, okay, this in this particular debate, probably this argument would run better, and therefore I should go ahead and read this argument in front of my opponents. Then again, we have already told you that there's going to be two case files. One is going to be for or the pro, and one is going to be con. So for your better organization, try to have different documents so that when you're copy pasting the research material, you're on a better side, and you don't have a research place where it's all over the place and you don't understand how it is working by yourself. Okay, so that's how preparation of case file, the introduction looks like. If you guys have any question, debaters, ask me. No questions? We would move. Yes, Karthik, go ahead.
Ma'am, it's related to the qualifiers, but will there be oral adjudication just after the debate?
Yes, there would be oral adjudication.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, then next, art of argumentation. So art of argumentation, I think we have already dealt with that, but then the three important claims or the three important elements of argument is claim, evidence, and warrant. Claim is what you say as a major argument that has been made by you, or to, let's say, you say that, oh, this is the particular benefit of a particular thing, and then you warrant it. So you say that why exactly is that particular claim the benefit from our side of the house. So you give reasonings or justifications, and last is you give evidence. Now, what is evidence per se is basically, as I said, evidence is the research material that you show, or the articles, statistics, everything which you show to show that, yes, whatever I'm saying is factually true, and it's something which has been researched upon, which is credible, and you can rely on me, and that's why you need to be convinced as a judge. All right. Now, you must be thinking, how many arguments should I run in a debate? So there's nothing like quantity of argument in a debate. So oh, my pro actually gave 4 arguments and con gave 2 arguments, so we should win as pro because we had more arguments. So it's nothing like that. It depends on the quality of arguments. How much are you able to prove to the judge or convince the judge, persuade the judge that, listen, our arguments have more impact, our argument have more material value, and so on and so forth. So similar is the case with evidence. It's not oh, we gave 3, we gave 10 10 sources, the opponents gave 2 sources. That's not how it works. Let's say opponents actually use material which are actually credible sources. You used Wikipedia. That's how if evidence is also going to be evaluated. Okay, so this is what the evidence or the art of argumentation looks like. I can give you examples as well. Let's just go ahead with okay, you all know what midday meal is? I think we have already talked about it. Or
yes, ma'am, we have.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So I think you all know what claim, evidence, and warrant is. So I think we have made that clear. Do you guys have any questions on that? I would take that as no. That's very amazing. Let's go on next then. Okay, forming arguments, terminology. So what is terminology? Terminologies are basically the jargons that you can, or that are specific to public forums. Now, standard is one of the things that you use during public forum in your first speech. So in your first speech, you can tell the judge that, listen, this is the metric, or this is the value criteria that I'm going to give you in order for you to vote for us. Now, what is value criteria? Can anyone take a guess and tell me what value criteria is without actually using the terminologies in the slide? So I just want you all to just guess what value criteria could actually be. What do you think value or criteria can be in a debate? Any guesses? Arya, go ahead. Arya, do you know?
Yes, ma'am. Value and criteria are the most important part of a claim.
Okay. Any other guesses? Neerav?
Ma'am, criteria is like the biggest criteria which has the most impact on the judge.
Yes, so you would be like, this is the criteria of you to judge the debate, and whoever is able to prove that should win the debate. Okay. So any other reasonings for that? Kavya, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I was thinking the same thing, that the value criterion is basically, as the others as well said, it is basically the most important part of the judging, and it basically is like the part in which we can, I think, get the most marks.
Yes. So Dhruv?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I think that value and criteria is like, just like everyone else said, it is the most important part of a claim. Like, for example, if I am saying the earth is becoming colder, so I need a value and criteria for that, like a good evidence, and like the criteria means like all the facts and all that has, so that those facts, they should also be relevant and they should be accepted today.
Okay. Angad?
Ma'am, a set of rules and the biggest criteria that you can get a lot of marks, and a way that you can impress the judges.
Yeah, a way that you can impress the judges, or the kind of burden. Do you understand what burden is?
Yes.
What is burden? Yes, tell me what is burden.
Ma'am, it's like the stress that happens.
It's the stress. Okay, let's take it a little like basic. So it's the things that you're supposed to take on yourself as a team. So you'll be like, our burden is to win the debate, but for you to win the debate, what is the burden? Yes, Kriti, do you have your answer?
Maybe emphasizing upon what you're trying to speak, giving more evidence and like ideas of why you believe in that way.
Okay, so burden is basically in the initial, like, or in the beginning of the debate, you identify something as the things that you're supposed to prove at the end of the debate. Like, that's your burden to prove it. Okay, that's your possible. Oh, who is doing this? Okay, that's
we
your
don't have
basically, like,
patience for this. Don't do funny stuff. We are not here for
yeah,
fun. Serious training going on.
just don't. So you're supposed to make sure that there is that burden is being fulfilled. Okay, now I'll give you an easy answer, or like an easy example to that. I think one of you all actually said, like, the earth is getting colder. So let's say that the motion is that appropriation of outer space by private entities is unjust. Now, appropriation could look like things like sending satellites, things like sending like research, or like a team which could probably go ahead and us extract material or like resources from space, and so on and so forth. Okay, so if that is the case, and private entities, who private entities are, so you would essentially try to understand as to how I am going to like convince the judge that this should be the metric, or this should be the value of the debate, and that's how you should like vote the person in the first place. I think you all need to really stop with like doing this. That's not funny, and this is not how
if I remove people from this room, you will not be able to enter again. So let's just focus on the training, all of you. Carry on, Afrin. My apologies for this behavior.
No, it's okay. Cool. So let's say this is the topic, right? So appropriation of outer space by private entities is unjust. Okay, I hope you all have understood the motion. Kriti, do you have a doubt? No doubts. Okay. So if that is the motion, and basically essentially like, okay, we should stop sending like private rockets, we should stop sending, let's say, satellites, private satellites, and so on and so forth. Okay. So pro can probably use that, listen, environmentalism is our criteria for you to evaluate the judge. Now, like, evaluate the debate. Now, what is environmentalism? Environmentalism is basically, like protection, or like you as an activism, or activism for you to protect the environment. Now, if you know private, like these outer space private entities can go ahead and actually like distort the environment. Can you give me a basic idea as to how it can harm the environment? Do you have any reasoning?
Ma'am, littering.
Can rockets?
Ma'am, can
Yeah,
you repeat the
littering.
question?
So why do you think rockets and satellites, or like the appropriation of outer space, can like harm the environment? Yes, Madhav?
Yes, ma'am. So, one such point could be that they could harm the environment as like after the satellites, you can say deadline is over, or after the satellites are out of use, they just come back to Earth and or they just remain in the outer space in the orbit and they just create the space junk.
Yeah,
So
they do.
that is
Yes,
how.
yes, that's correct. Yes. So you can see that, Judge, the most important thing that you're supposed to evaluate in the debate is environmentalism. And if we prove to you that environmentalism happens in our side of the house, we should win the debate. That's the value criteria. Now, Con can say that utilitarianism is our value. Does anyone know what utilitarianism is?
What did you say?
Yes. Anyone, just like go ahead. I think Karthik, go ahead.
Mama, I think utilitarianism means that like how much an object is useful or how much it provides utility to us. So, ma'am, like Con might say that private satellites and the appropriation of outer space by private entities is not unjust because
Take the opportunity to just take a
Go ahead. Continue.
ma'am, because private satellites or satellites in general provide a lot of utility to us, so everyone has a fair amount of right to send their satellites to space.
Yes, that's very good. Yes. So you're supposed to show that inside Con, you're going to have most, like, you're going to be able to extract resources, you're going to be able to know, like, give or like have or discover new knowledge, and so on and so forth. And that's why it's very utilitarian to begin with. So utilitarianism is basically like the greatest number of happiness of the greatest number of people. So if larger number of people are actually happy, it's actually a good amount of utility in the first place. So I'm hoping that you understood how value criterion actually works. Do you guys have any question with value and standard?
I did not understand the value criteria.
So yeah, value criteria is when you say that when you say or you tell the judge that this should be the reason why you should like this should be the reason and way how you should evaluate the debate. Okay, so judges, what do judges do? They try to choose which side is going to win. Okay, so how would they choose? So you're going to convince the judge that this is the way you're supposed to judge the debate and this is our value and you're going to fulfill that by the end of the debate. Did you get it?
Ma'am, can you please give an example?
Yes, I gave an example of a private, like, let's say, why should we not send rockets to space? If that is the motion, your criteria of the debate can be environmentalism. Do you know what environmentalism is?
Ma'am, it's something like supporting the environment other than our own.
Yes, correct. Exactly. So you can say that we are going to prove to you that when you don't send rockets in the space, you're actually supporting or protecting the environment. So if you're able to prove that to you or convince you, you should vote for our side. Okay, you should make us win.
Okay, ma'am.
Did you get it?
Yes.
Okay. Let's move to the next slide. Okay, let's move to the next slide. So these are the examples how you can do it. India should, so the motion is India should continue Make in India scheme. Does anyone know what Make in India scheme is?
Yes, ma'am. It is a scheme by the government to promote products which are made in India and to reduce the imports from products of other countries so that we can be self-sufficient.
Yes. Any other, like, we'll take Madhav. Dhruv will take you next for sure.
Yes, ma'am. So, Make in India scheme is basically a campaign started by the government where it empowers the Indian companies to produce the goods nationally and also export it to other companies to earn more to other countries to earn more profit.
Correct. Dhruv, go ahead.
Ma'am, I want to explain this with an example. So as we know, there are a lot of toys being produced, being imported in India from China. So there were good companies of toys like Legos. So what India did was, first they started banning Legos from all the whole nation. Then what they did was they started making their own products. Like everyone said, they made their own toys. Like for example, Legos are there, they are blocks. So then they started making their own blocks. They produced those blocks and they sent those blocks to other countries. They exported their things, and they also sell their things in the nation.
That's a very holistic example, and that's also the benefit or like the aims of Make in India. That's very good. Pradyot?
Ma'am, it is a scheme that was started by the government in which they encourage people to make their own things in India and not buy it from outside.
Correct. Okay, Srija, that would be the last.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, Make in India scheme, as the name suggests, it's everything that is made in India. So in this scheme, in short, we can say that the Indian government is minimizing the imported stuff, and it's supporting the businessmen to make their own things in the Indian way, which is also profitable for the businessmen as they are earning more.
So the nutshell, you understood, India is trying to strengthen like their production unit, because a lot of things that are in India are actually imported by other like nations, and we don't want to be dependent on other nations. And we realized, and also I think a large chunk of it we realized during COVID-19, because we were like, the imports and exports were completely shut down. So we wanted to have that self-reliance in India, so that we are like completely reliant as a nation, and we don't have to depend on other nations. So what can be the claims? That is like, how can you support that? Yes, India should continue Make in India scheme. So things like, it can develop job opportunity, it can upgrade technology, expand GDP, ease of business, fortify the rupee, utilization of young minds, increase the band value, self-reliance. All of this can be the claim. Now, I think you all understand. Yes?
I'm sorry to interrupt, but in the claim, in the pros of the claim, we can also add that it would add to the economy of India.
Yes, that is the GDP point. So GDP is also indirectly dealing with the economy side of it, gross domestic product. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, that's a good argument. Cool. Now you would be like, yes.
Ma'am, what is the meaning of fortify the rupee?
Fortify the rupee basically means that, you know, like when you have more amount of import, do you understand what imports are?
Ma'am, like when people want something, they import it from another country.
Yes,
it comes
correct.
from
So when you
another
have,
country.
so when you have more number of imports and less number of exports, that basically means that, you know, like the, so that's a very broad and a big argument to begin with. But fortify the rupee means, you know, the value of rupee. So in front of USD is very less. So you know what USD is? Like the dollar, like the United States dollar.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's also very less in terms of like Canadian dollar, in terms of like all of the other currencies. So for you to try to like increase that value, so you know, like the comparative of between USD and rupee, for you to reach that value, you are supposed to fortify the rupee, and for you to have that, you have to have like great economy and all of that. So that's largely related to that. There is much more deeper concept. I don't think I would be able to explain that today, but yes, that's a very good question. You basically try to strengthen your economy and like your currency in a nation. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, let's just try to understand now that how do you prove or how do you make arguments? Okay, so how you basically do it is that let's use the same example. India should continue Make in India scheme. Now, evidence, like how do you make evidence? And we have been talking about it so much, and you guys have put this question that, you know, like how do we cite sources? So this is how you cite the sources. I want you to like pay full attention to it. So the contention one is Make in India scheme helps in expansion of GDP. Now, Shilpi 16 is the way how I would term it. But can anyone guess what Shilpi 16 is? No guesses? No guesses. Okay. Cool. So Shilpi is the author of the article that I have quoted. And 16 is 2016. So Shilpi was a business expert who made this article in 2016. Okay. So they wrote this article in 2016. So the way how you start the contention, or the way how you start reading an evidence is Shilpi 16 reads, or like you can see that Shilpi 16 proves that due to the manufacturing of products in India, economic growth is inevitable, which will not only boost the trade sector, but also will increase the GDP of Indian economy, as with the setting up of new factories and various investments, and so on and so forth. You can read the entire paragraph. Now, what this particular thing does is explains as to why you would have better like GDP. Now, this is not something which I wrote, so it does not come from me. Who does it come from? Shilpi. Shilpi is the author. She has researched on it, and therefore she has come to the conclusion. So this is the way how you like say that we are from contention 1, Make in India helps in expansion of GDP. Shilpi 16 states, due to the manufacturing of products in India, economic growth is inevitable. And then you can read the entire para. Try to cut short the para in a way.
It's about to be.
Yes, you go ahead.
Yeah, so this is not compulsory, but it will help strengthen your claim, correct?
Yes, and I think in public forum, it's always better to use evidence cards to prove your contentions. Okay, so this is how you now in case, so you have read the speech and this is how you read the speech. But how about let's take any person's example, and then I'll just come back to it. Let's say Yug used this particular paragraph in their speech, and I'm confused as to Shilpi 16 actually said that. How can I confirm that? So during the crossfire, I asked you, can you show me the evidence of Make in India helps expansion of GDP? And can you show me the Shilpi 16 evidence? Now, what would you do? So technically, you should follow this format. This is the format of you to send the evidence card. So this is full name of the primary author, comma, publication date, comma, title of article, comma, date, access or date of access the article when you actually read that article, comma, full URL of that article, comma, author's qualification, and page numbers. Most often than not, you're not going to have page numbers in the like in the website, so you don't have to just go into that. Now, Shilpi 16, you used Shilpi Singh is the author's full name. This is the date when I actually when she actually wrote the article, and the website name is Business Alligators. The title name is Advantages and Disadvantages of Make in India. And I accessed it in August 2022. So when I was preparing this PPT, I accessed then. And then you copy paste the entire website link. Now I'll show this website to you actually. Can you see the website?
Yeah, it's loading.
It is black.
And it's loading.
Okay. Yes.
Now it's
Yes. So what is the website name? Business Alligators. Now, what is the title name? Advantages and Disadvantages of Make in India. What is the author name? Author name is Shilpi Singh. And who is Shilpi Singh? She is the business expert. And when did she write this article? August 21, 2016. And where did I get that particular thing from? This is the paragraph I copy pasted. So and you can check it with the evidence card that I was not lying about the fact. So you can always cross check whenever things like evidence card are being shared. Did you get it?
So ma'am, every time someone asks, where did you get this from? We have to show this entire thing. So we have to prepare these for every website that we research on before the debate itself, or can we just log on to our case files? Yes. Click onto the website, see the information there, and then can we read it out?
No, I think the better way, because you can't have you can't be doing that all the time. It's going to take a lot of time. Right? So what you would do actually is that you would prepare it from now only. You will copy paste the evidence cards in your case file from now. Okay. So that whenever anyone asks you, it is there below your argument. Just Control F, copy paste, and send it in the chat box. Okay.
Sure. Could you show the slide again so you can take a screenshot?
Yes, I'm doing that. Just give me a second. So let's say who is asking me for an evidence? Who would be asking me for an evidence? Let's say Dhruv is asking me for the evidence, and what would I do? So I would go ahead, copy paste in the chat box this entire thing. Okay. So now I'll share screen again. I'll come back to the, yes.
Ma'am, what is GDP?
GDP is gross domestic product. You don't need to delve into that as well. It's just an example of how things work. So don't worry.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes. Go
I'm
ahead.
actually, I wanted to ask that can the judge only ask about this information, or
No,
in the crossbar
judges
also?
don't. No, judges don't.
So the person, the opponent can ask about it.
The opponent can always ask you about it.
Excuse me, I have a doubt.
Yes.
Ma'am, what if I have taken the information from somebody, like I have contacted that person and taken the information?
Like who would you contact? Can you give me an example?
Ma'am, for example, someone who is a specialist.
Okay, so I think specialists oftentimes do not have articles or books, so just try to refer those written places. So let's say you say that, okay, my uncle is a specialist in medical sciences and he has told me this, and you have to buy into that. Now the problem with that is I can never go and ask your uncle as to whether it's true or not, right? So I can never question, or I can never check whether that's a credible source or whether you're lying or not, right? So you have to actually show written ways, or like written paragraphs, so that I can actually believe you.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Ma'am?
Yes.
Ma'am, my query was that, like, for example, you just showed us a lot of like evidence. So we are allowed to use the evidence from the Google and all that and just speak whatever is written there, or we have to convert it into our own language?
No, you can use this exact same thing which is on there on Google. And you can also paraphrase it, up to you, but you have to mention it to judge that you actually paraphrase it when you copy paste the evidence card. Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Shravya.
Ma'am, if the evidence we found doesn't have the writer and year written, but we do know that the site is reliable, so what do we do then?
Just skip that. Just say that.
Okay,
so let's assume that Shilpi Singh wasn't in the website. It was only business alligator. The year is not written. Just say so the way how it would look like is business alligators, comma, advantages and disadvantages of Make in India, 2 August 2022, or whenever you actually have cited that article, and then copy paste the entire link of the article. Okay.
Okay, ma'am, and one more thing. What if our content is a mixture of our own words and a text from different websites? What do we do then?
Just tell that you have paraphrased that. Just tell that.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Next, you have 90 seconds. You have to go on Google, tell me what is the population of India, cite the para and use the evidence format and send it in the chat box. You have 90 seconds. Do it from now. What is the population of India? Tell me that, and then tell me where did you get it from in the format of evidence card. 90 seconds. Let's just start that. It's 6:07. I would ask you at 6:09. I have started receiving. No, I did not yet. Okay, Kriti has sent in the current population of India is this, and based on worldometer elaboration, that's the para, and she got it from the article. Yes. Yes, you understood the meaning of what the population is, but send me the evidence card. Like, you know how evidence card actually works? So like, if you're citing it from worldometer, I want you to show me like the evidence card. So how does the evidence card look like? You would write worldometer, comma, the date of the website. If it is live, just cite the date, like the same date, then comma, the article title, or like before that source, worldometer again. And then when did you access it, the full URL, and then the qualifications. So I'm seeing that a lot of responses are coming in. I would wait only till 1 more minute. I want you to send me evidence card. Your evidence card has to have the format. Format is full name of the primary author. If you don't have author in the website, just use author, like the website name. I think, Amy, you're going in the right direction. Go ahead. So Anuvi says, yes, Anuvi is almost on the right track. Yes, yes, yes. According to this live data, yes, but then Neera, that's the citation. That's how you cite the para, but you have to send me. Okay, Nivesh, also on the right track. Yes, yes. So you're understanding. So I'm basically happy that you're able to follow how to send evidence cards. So let's say if you say in your speech that panel, according to Worldometer, the population of India as of today is so and so. And then let's say your opposition asks, can you show me the evidence card of that population of India is this? You're supposed to send evidence card. And I am going to now show you the evidence card in a bit, but I'll just see Amy has done a good job. And then you have Ronak. Yes, yes, you're doing extremely. Yes, so I don't know how to pronounce that, but I think Sesh, you have done an extremely good job as well. Yes, very good. Yes, all of y'all are correct. I'm so happy that you understood it. Let's just move into the actual answer. The answer is, what is the population of India? Worldometer 22, the current population of India is this as of Friday, August 5, 2020, based on Worldometer elaboration of the latest United Nations of India. And how do you send the evidence card? Worldometer, August 5, 2020, Worldometer, Indian population life, August 6, 2022, the actual website, and then live statistical data website. So I'm very happy. So very good. All of y'all, kudos. I'm very happy that you understood it. So this is how it works. And yes, you were able to understand that. Now we would like, Shivansh, are you there in the meet?
Oh, yes, ma'am, I'm there.
Yes, so I want you all to meet your, like a student, a debater, one amongst y'all. So he has recently won a public forum tournament called Georgetown, and we are very proud of him. But yes, so he is one of the public forum debaters. He has made this particular case file, and I want you all to listen it from him as to what were the things that he actually took care of during making the case file. How did he actually make the case files and all of that? Shivansh, go ahead. On to you. Over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. So as you can see on the slides, these are two of the case files that I've made. This is for one of the resolutions that was there before. The resolution or the topic in that debate was the United States federal government should legalize all illicit drugs, or essentially should legalize all drugs that are currently illegal in the United States. And the second one, ma'am, if you could just change this slide. Yeah, and the second one was that Turkey's membership is beneficial to NATO, or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is again another organization just like the United Nations. So these two case files, what do they show in exact sense? What did I do to create them? Well, essentially, they're very similar to normal debates. If you have done debates like British parliamentary or any kind of debate that you've done before, a lot of things that you come from is research. You need a lot of research to create. And in a debate like public forum, especially in the format of public forum, the most important thing that you need to create and in place is research. You need to have a lot of evidence, because this debate is not philosophical. It does not just work on logical arguments. It needs to have evidence backing it up. And as Afreen ma'am just did an activity on evidence cards, that just shows the importance that you need to have your evidence ready, your evidence backed and on the go, that if anyone asks you what your evidence, you have it ready. Every argument, every claim that should be supported with evidence is a strong claim. So that is what it shows in these kind of case files that you've created. Below, you can see the links that are there to every argument that I've written. The way you structure a case file is very simple. There are three main important things that I think are very important to any case file, especially in public forum. And it goes a lot like a story. Like in a story, you have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. That's how public forum works, essentially. In public forum, you have a 15-second line in introduction, a chance to show that what your stance is to the judge. That if you're in the pro, a 15-second liner on showing that I am pro, and this is what is my value criterion. This is what you have to judge the debate on. So a little 15-second liner on your value criterion and your stance. That's it. That's all you need for your introduction for a public forum. The main part, second part of a story is the body, right? Where the entire story is written. And similarly, that's how it's done in public forum. The main part of public forum comes in the body. And here you include something called contentions or your arguments. This is where you include some of your basic arguments or your key principal arguments that you're going to be pushing forward in the debate. And that's what you do in your body. You write the argument, you write the claim, you write the warrant, the link to the claim and the evidence, and then you put the evidence, how you're supporting that claim as well, as ma'am showed you previously before, how to support claim, evidence, and warrant all together. That's what you put in your body. And that's what I've done. The yellow parts essentially in my case file are things that I used to do to show me that these are the things that I'm not going to read, because usually a public forum debate is 4 minutes, but for you guys, it's going to be 2 minutes or a little shorter. So if you want, you can highlight things that you don't want to speak out yellow as evidence that you might want to bring out later in the debate, but it's completely your choice. And again, case files will depend on person to person. And then the last thing that you need in a case file, and this is some of the most important part, is the conclusion. Having a good introduction and a good conclusion is essential to every story. And similarly, it is very essential to public forum as well. A good conclusion will make a good impact on your judge. And that is what you're looking for. At the end of the day, if you're saying 5-10 different arguments, and if they make no sense to the judge, then there's no point, right? For you, saying 5-10 arguments may be great. It may make you sound intelligent. But if the judge can't understand that, if the judge can't buy that, then there's no point of the debate. So in the end, the conclusion should be really important. And you should focus a lot on the conclusion. Mainly in the conclusion, what you have to include is your impact. How many lives you're affecting, how many people you're affecting. If it's a case about, let's say, illicit drugs or illegal drugs, are illegal drugs bad? If they kill these many people, mention that. If they hurt this many people, mention that. That's what's important in your conclusion. And in debate terms, in public forum, it is called impact. And this is seen a lot in other debates as well. Impact. What is the impact that you're creating on the people? The amount of lives you're affecting, the amount of people you're affecting. That's what it comes in the conclusion. And then 5 mistakes that I did during my own case structuring. It's something that I've learned from or something I'm going to be talking about now. So the first mistake that I did while preparing for my case files was that I had too many arguments. And this is something that we have to look out for a lot, that don't try to put 10 arguments. That is not going to work out. That never works out in debates. It seems cool that you have 10 different arguments to the same contention. You have 10 different arguments for the same resolution. Oh, the resolution is about abolishing death penalty. Should we abolish death penalty? I have 10 different arguments for that. Great. But then now you need to push for some important ones, something that is actually mattering in the debate, something that you can show that the judge needs to vote for you, because these are the 3 important arguments that I pose, not 10 arguments. So that's something that you need to be on a lookout for, not to put too many arguments, put 1 or 2 arguments that are very important, that you can show are very important and become important in the debate. The second mistake that I learned from is it becomes too complicated. Try to make your case less complicated. As simple it is for the judge, the better the debate goes. Don't try to put too many debate terms. Don't try to put too many terms that nobody has heard of, too many terms that nobody will know, things like austerity and bigger economic words, inflation. These terms will not work in the debate if the judge is not able to understand them. So as the simple the case becomes, the better the chances are that the judge will understand them, and the better the chances are that you will win the debate more, the better the chances are that the judge will understand your case. So make it simple. Don't make it too complicated. Don't have 10 subpoints in the same argument. Make 3 subpoints in the same argument and explain them clearly. Explain what they mean and why they're important. That is what it should be important in the debate. The third mistake I made was that I wasn't specific enough. If I search for something that is very general, 10 more people are going to find it. Then what's the difference in my case and the cases of 10 different people? Of course, you can have similarities between your cases and your opponent's case, but at the end of the day, what will make your case more unique? What will make your case such that the judge should vote for you? the more specific your case is, the more important it becomes. So when you research, be specific of what you're looking for. If you're researching for illicit drugs, be specific for what drugs you're looking for. If you're looking for death penalty, why death penalty should be abolished, look at specific countries. Maybe look at the United States. Maybe look at a particular state, such as California. Does California have death penalty abolished? So as specific as you make, the better your research becomes, and the more chances are that you have stronger evidence. The fourth mistake I made, and this is something that you guys will probably be better at me than I ever was in debate, is finding good sources. And that is very important in debate, because in debates like public forum, as you already did an activity in evidence card, you had to paste your evidence in card in chat, right? That shows that you have to show your evidence in public forum. This is not a debate where you can just say your points out and say something logical and that makes you win the debate. Because unless it has actually happened, unless it is true, unless it has evidence to support it, it really doesn't make sense in public forum. So it is very important to have evidence, but on the other hand, it is very important to have good sources to support that evidence. If it's a blog, then it really isn't as strong as something from the United Nations or something from the government. If the government is supporting it and a blog is supporting it, choose the government, because the government is much more stronger of an opinion, much more stronger of an evidence than someone who's just writing a blog. And the last mistake that I made was finding very old evidence. It works in some debates. In some debates, you have to find old evidence. Some debates that have been going on for a longer time, something like I had done one recent debate, which also came in public forum, was regretting the partition of India. Now, this kind of debate, this gets your evidence from a longer time, because the partition of India that happened is a century back. So 1947, 70 years, it's a long time. You have to get evidence from the old times. But a lot of the debates require new and recent evidence. If someone has evidence from 2012 and you have evidence from 2020, the judge is going to buy your evidence more because it is more recent. So if someone has some evidence and if someone has another evidence, the more recent evidence accounts for more credibility. The more recent evidence is better because it knows that new data has come, data has improved. Something has improved in the past 10 years that makes your evidence more recent and your evidence better. So that's the last mistake that I looked at. Yes, Afrina, that's about it.
All right, thank you so much. That was a very comprehensive explanation to what are the mistakes that you have done. And I'm sure that now that these juniors have gotten the opportunity to understand that and hear that, I'm sure they won't commit the same mistake. So thank you so much for that. I think there is one question by just one that as to how many. My dog is barking, so I'm so sorry. Yes, so
no, but
yes, sorry, much should be the
Afreen, just one thing that I want to say, which I want you to remember. One, Shivansh, thank you so much for taking the time out of your preparation. It means a lot to all of us to hear it from a debater whose journey we have seen. But I just want to make sure that all the students over here realize, especially the younger ones, that you don't win debates because of big words. So do not worry about it, right? Like Shivansh was saying, it is more important that you understand what you're saying than using big words that are that seem impressive, but actually you also don't know, because you are likely to be asked by your opponent on the crossfire. To understand your points, and simplicity wins debates, not the big words. Okay, so do not feel intimidated at all. You all are reasonably capable of making good arguments once you understand them. Yes, Tanveer, what were you saying?
I had a question because for the actual debate, I had found a governmental website article. So is that credible?
Yes, absolutely. A government source is more credible, like Shivansh sir said right now, than a blog, right?
Okay.
Okay. So Afreen ma'am, if you're settled, then you can come back.
Okay, yes. So there's one question that says that how much should be the recommended number of arguments that we can actually run. So I think there is no recommended number to begin with. So you can't say that, oh, it's just one contention that I am running. If you think that you can win the debate with one contention, go ahead with that. I have had so many debates where debaters have said that our sole contention is this, and we're going to prove to you as to why we win the debate. So it's not about the number of contention that you have. So it can be 1, 2, 3, but and it can be 5 contentions and you don't necessarily win the debate. As I said, quantity does not matter, so I cannot give you a proper number as to how much should be the recommended number. As far as you're able to like give good explanation, that should be good. Yes, Karthik?
Actually, I have sent you one format of evidence card on the chat privately to you. Ma'am, please check if that format is correct because I'm a little doubtful of that. I've sent it privately to you.
Yes, I just saw that. I think you need to like tell the name of the article which isn't there. So the name of the article is supposed to be there. And then you're also supposed to tell when the article was being made. So the date of when the publication of article was done. Other than that, I think that it's pretty good.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, then. Ma'am, I think we can. Okay, so Shivansh and I are going to be going against each other right now. We would be debating. That would mean that are you like are you all ready for a debate, or you want to see a mock as to how that actually works? So it's going to be
Yes, ma'am.
me versus
Afrin,
Yes.
actually, I just want to do a time check. We only have 6 minutes into the call.
Yes, ma'am. So we would just do 2 versus 2. Like it's just going to be 2 minutes versus 2 minutes. So we are not going
Yeah,
to
quickly, because I do want to make sure that they are comfortable with the schedule. Please go ahead quickly. Any
Yes,
questions
so-
anybody has prior? Okay.
Okay, so it's going to be me versus Shivansh sir. It's going to be me being the pro, Shivansh sir being the con. The actual topic is I'm just going to be pasting the topic. We have used this topic in the PPT as well, and we have actually talked about it quite a lot. So this is going to be the topic, and we are debating Afrin, pro. We will only be giving the constructive speech. So are you all ready? We would start. Shivansh sir, are you ready?
Yes, sir, I'm ready.
Great. So let's start with me, since I'm the con. So since I'm the pro. Okay. I am going to be starting my speech. In 3, 2, 1. We affirm our value in the debate is equality and security. We define legalization as legalized selling and buying of drugs like marijuana and drugs which have less addictive values, which are up to the state to define, which means that the government is going to go ahead and define what are the kinds of or the categories of drugs we are going to actually legalize. We're not taking the burden that we're going to legalize all kinds of drugs, because that should be very uncharitable for us. Our first contention is legalization is beneficial to ordinary citizens, and our sub-contention is that legalization would reduce crime and criminal behavior. NIDA 20 says that annual marijuana use has continued to increase among college students. 44% reported using marijuana in the past year in 2020 compared to 38% in 2015. The second contention under that is the number of persons in prison because of illicit drug use is extremely high. Balsara 18 says nearly 300,000 people are held in state and federal prison because of small petty crimes like drugs. Contention C is Morris 18, like states that legalization would significantly reduce the number of drug users being incarcerated. Legalization might be expected to reduce the number of people involved in illegal activities like marijuana, and therefore there are going to be so many people in the jails, which A, takes a lot of state resources, B, it also like incarcerates people who are actually innocent to begin with. Our last contention with respect to that is legalization reduces Black discrimination. The reason being, there has been a couple of reasons as to like why there has been cannabis or like why the laws are extremely like discriminated towards Black Americans, and therefore we would extremely like to negate this entire idea. So what we have provided to you in this debate or in this particular speech is that legalization is beneficial for citizens and it promotes equality, because you're not going to be incarcerating or making people in prison or being in prison due to the small petty crimes like drug use. And with that, we are thus proud to stand on side pro.
Wow, that was fast.
Ma'am, should I begin with my speech?
Yes, Shivan.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, let's start in 3, 2, 1. We negate the resolution. Our value in the debate is lives and the economy. My sole contention is economic devastation and the inability to regulate. Courtney 21 states legalization of drugs creates economic disparities. Legalizing the drug market increases the racial disparity and non-white discrimination. In 2017, 81% of the marijuana business owners in the United States were white individuals. 5.7% were Hispanic, 4.3% were Black, and 2.4% were Asian. When we legalize the drug market, racial injustice becomes possible. Second, Lopez 17 states that the United States is terrible at regulating addictive drug, dangerous for safe use. Prohibition saves lives. America allows a dangerous elective drug, big companies excessively market it, and the use of that spirals out of control. It has happened multiple times before with the opioid epidemic and even with alcohol and tobacco. Lastly, Robert 2017 states legalization normalizes behavior that is harmful to individuals. The challenge of the drug policy today is to find better ways to reduce drug use by using strategies that is cost effective and compatible with moral values. Legalization of drugs fails this test because it encourages drug use. It is hard to imagine a drug user who will be better off with having more drugs available at cheaper prices. Supply matters. More supply means more use of drugs. In the conclusion, we show you two main impacts. One, racial discrimination. Because of legalizing drugs, over 81% of the drug market is owned by the white race, which creates racial and economic disparity between people of different races. And two, overdoses. Even if we regulate drugs, there will still be an increase in death. From 2016 to 2025, 700,000 people and individuals in the United States are projected to die from the opioid overdose. Prescription overdose deaths are expected to increase as the legalization of drugs become more legal. And this is why highlighting the need for action is more important in this case. Legalization will kill more individuals. Proud to negate.
All right. So we would just do one question so that there's literally no time. So I would just ask one question since I was pro. Can I ask a question?
Yes, please go ahead.
Can you show me the evidence card for opioid crisis?
Yep, I'll just paste that into chat.
Cool, thank you. You get the next question.
I had a question regarding the environment. Since the environment is currently projected to have a huge impact due to the drug overdose, and increasing the drug hurts the environment by creating a carbon footprint, isn't that going to hurt the environment in any case? So isn't legalizing drugs essentially bad for the environment?
So the way how this would work is that the moment when you're legalizing drugs, you're going to have much more regulations in picture. So in the status quo or in the current scenario, there are drugs which are already being produced, and therefore there are consumptions which are already existing. So things like black market already exist in the status quo. So when you have black market, it becomes very difficult for you to have regulations on things like drug production or agricultural uses of drugs. So therefore, when we would be having legalized drug production, we would be able to monitor the environmental impact that are there from the drugs, but we would also be able to have better laws and stricter laws for them, so that there's much more like monetary benefit, or like there's much more control over what can be the composition and what could be the minimum limit as to people can have production of drugs to begin with. All right, that's cross. Thank you. Okay, so we were speaking that fast because there was so much to cover, but then that's basically how that debate is actually going to look like. I hope that would have answered your queries or how actually it looks like. But then did you notice that we actually asked we asked question based on what we said, but also we asked question what could have been the probable argument, and we also asked for evidence card, which Shivan sir actually showed in the chat box. So that's how you're going to show evidence cards in the real life or in the debate room. So I hope you enjoyed the session, and that's the end from our side, unless you have any question. But I think that's way over time. But so thank you so much for joining today. Anjali ma'am.
Thank you, Afreen and Shivansh, and all of you for listening in. You know, personally, this has been my favorite session of training as well. I go through so many, but I've really enjoyed this. And I'm sure as debaters, not only as debaters, as individuals, you will see the benefits of some of these techniques, right? When people will speak to you, you'll know exactly how to evidence it. So what I'm doing, I'm just taking a screenshot of Shivansh's evidence card, and I'm sure Afreen, it has an example any which way in your debate, right? For everybody else to follow. With that, students, if you are all good, then I am happy to wish you the very best of luck and take any questions that you have for a minute or so on what the journey further is. But just to give you a snapshot, we are just finalizing the schedules for the debates. They are nearly finalized. You will be using your team name, right? All of you have a team name. Did you guys see that in front of your names?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So similar Excel to what you had seen, and I'm just going to take a second to sneak peek. Right? Is you'll have date, you will be given rooms, which room to join, timing, category, who's doing for, who's going against. Right? So just when we circulate this PDF, please have a look, but you will do a PDF Control F on your team name. Right? So we will put that together for you. And all of you have 2 rounds of qualifiers to play. So we wish you the very best of luck. We are trying to finish this between 8th, 9th and 10th so that we all are enjoying the festival of Rakhi. It also gives us time to calculate because some of you are outstation. We'd like to make sure that you are all set to then come and join us on the semi-finals, finals. With that, Ishita, Karthik, what is the question that you have?
Ma'am, again for adding me in the group so that I can receive my team names. And
yeah, I'm just wondering, okay, you had pinged it on the group, right, Ishita?
Yeah.
Yes, I can see it. I've just put that on my own personal group for my team. They will just add you. Okay, I'll just make sure that you are added before we send any communication. And I'm going to make sure that the recordings are also made accessible to all of you, just in case some of you want to revise, some of you want to see it again. Right? We'll do that. Yes, Abhyuk?
Ma'am, when will we get the schedule, when the day and the time?
End of the day today.
Okay.
End of the day today or tomorrow morning first thing. Right? Okay. I don't require reminders on the groups. Trust me, we're working very hard to put this together. So don't worry, we will release it. We have to check it many times before you release it. If there are no further doubts, I would like to wish you all a very good evening and then request you to please carry on with your day, time preparation so that we can take the batch for the seniors. Is that all right?
Bye. Yes, ma'am. Bye, ma'am. Have a good day, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am, for the wonderful class.
Thank you.